Welcome to episode 3 of Calling Ghosts. I'm your host, Monkey. I debated making this a joint Joy Division New Order episode, but in all honesty, as much weight as Joy Division wields in the annals of post-punk, New Order's discography is too great to lump in with another band, even though they're basically the same. Guitarist Bernard Sumner and bassist Peter Hook, with the addition of Terry Mason on drums, after the pair attended the infamous Sex Pistols show in Manchester. Both Sumner and Hook were from SALFORD, a name which pops up again in the story of the Smiths. SALFORD bears a quick mention because of its part in World War I. During that war, at the time the Great War, England was lumping enlisted men into what they called PAL brigades, or as many men as possible from the same village to help with camaraderie and morale. The SALFORD PALs made up the 15th, 16th, and 19th Battalions Lancashire Fusiliers of the 32nd Infantry Division. On the first day of the Battle of the Somme, June the 1st, 1916, the SALFORD PALs lost over 650 men. In all, the English had over 50,000 casualties and close to 20,000 killed, mostly within the first few hours of the battle. For SALFORD, the town lost a generation of men in that short amount of time. Further, during the air battle of Britain in 1940, 8,000 homes in SALFORD were destroyed by German bombing. This is just to bring to light the idea that the English have dealt with war on a much more personal level than have Americans since the Civil War, which was the last time we saw war on these shores, and nobody is alive who remembers that. It's brought home well in Pink Floyd's album The Wall, although that was in London, showing the effects of war on English society. That was just a good moment to talk about the feeling of the English of having to be rescued twice by the Americans and also dealing with the troubles in Northern Ireland during the 70s as well. They've dealt with war in a much more immediate way at home. The generation that was creating the punk music of the 70s was dealing with the consequences of that. Their parents had dealt with it personally. Their grandparents may have died. They may have lost a father in the conflict. Joy Division quickly added Stephen Morris as their drummer and brought in Ian Curtis to sing, and that was the lineup that would stick. The band originally signed a development deal with RCA, who got them into the studio to do some demos that are frankly unlistenable shit. It was the kind of generic punk found on every block in England and in garages across the US. The band was quickly signed to new label Factory after disengaging from RCA. An episode unto itself is Factory Record. And producer Martin Hannett, also probably a show unto himself, was brought in to work with the band on their first album, Unknown Pleasures. Hannett was basically the George Martin of Joy Division. The conversion of the band from the RCA crap to what we hear on their first album is a stark difference, and you could easily say Hannett created the Joy Division sound, taking a lot away from the lads, unfortunately, but they would claim the new sound definitively on their second album, Closer, although that would be released after the death of Ian Curtis. Prior to the band's first tour of America, Curtis hanged himself at his home, and that was the end of Joy Division. 2 albums, some assorted previously unreleased material, and really 2 short years of existence as the band identifiable as Joy Division, at age 23 and on the brink of success. There's a lyric on the band's song New Dawn Fades. A loaded gun won't set you free. So they say. So they say. That's the catch. As if Curtis is mocking those who don't get the power and the freedom inherent in suicide for those who choose that path. As someone dealing with mental health issues, it's a sobering thought. But there are some, like Curtis, who just view death differently, as if they're just not interested in what life has to offer. How can you deny a person that right? As much as he'll be missed, it's greedy to want him to live through the pain he was dealing with to give us what we want from him. So, rest in peace, young lad. Of course, Joy Division went on to influence as many young musicians as did Elvis or the Ramones or the Sex Pistols, and you can thank Martin Hannett for his hand in that as well. This week's playlist is 14 songs from the band and 10 cover versions of their songs I thought worth including. Where the band went from 1977 to 1980 sonically is jaw-dropping. To imagine where they could have gone is staggering. The music of New Order, what became of Joy Division after Curtis's death, is an indication, but lyrically, well, we'll never know. We will explore the music of New Order in our next episode, coming right up. Be sure to subscribe and enjoy this week's playlist. The next week, we'll come back stateside to dig into the music of REM, a band that typically falls well outside of the post-punk discussion, but shouldn't. Trust me. Until next episode, cheers, and thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe.